Hi, this is Chase Utley, and this is the Phillies Show.
Hi, everybody. This is the Phillies Show with Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zolecki. Friday, July 12th, 2024. The Phillies just swept the Los Angeles Dodgers. It was billed as the clash of two NL powerhouses. Phillies sweep them out. They now have a 6.5 game lead over them for the best record in the National League. They have a 9.5 game lead over the Braves and the NL East. A fun week at the ballpark. A lot of great moments. We'll get into that in a little bit, but it wasn't the only, the sweep yesterday was not the only big thing to come out of Thursday. Ruben, I read something yesterday that was shocking to me. You on WIP yesterday, you said when you were GM, you actually called in and faked your voice and called in and talked Phillies. Is this a radio? Was that a radio bit, or was that was real? You did really do this?
I really did do it. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
When?
So I think it was either the 2012 or 13 or maybe even 14. I'm not sure which one it was. And I can't even remember what name I used, but I definitely used something like Frankie from South Philly or something. And
Of course.
I called it and I go, yo, this is Frankie from South Philly. Yo, this Amaro guy, you got to get him out of here. You
got yourself fired. You didn't defend yourself.
I don't know. Why would I defend myself? I mean, we stunk.
Who was the host?
No idea. I really don't remember. I know it was late night. It was after a game. I think we probably got our asses kicked.
Oh,
again.
My God.
And, I was just playing around, because I was playing around. I was just playing a joke. But, it was. I thought it was funny. I think I did it just one time. I thought about doing it again. I thought, maybe that would not be a good idea. Somebody's going to recognize my voice or something or whatever. But I can't even remember what year it was. But I remember calling in one time just bashing myself.
I love that you call it. I love that you went like, Italian American guy from South Philly. That's
no doubt. Oh well, I think I was in South Philly. I was just pulling out of the game. It could have been more than like 45 minutes after the game or 30 minutes after the game. After I probably talked to Charlie Manuel or somebody, or maybe even Ryan Sandberg, whoever it was, who was managing at the time, and I was like, "Yo, get this guy out of here. Let's go."
So, in a little bit bigger picture, is this proof? Is this proof that the people who run teams in this town and other big sports towns actually do listen to critique from whether it be newspapers or talk radio?
I listen to it sometimes. I didn't listen to it a lot, but I listened to it. I mean, I just believe that for a long time, a lot of the stuff that Angelo and some of the other guys did, and I have a lot of respect for them. A lot of it was entertainment in the mornings. I mean, there's a lot of entertainment, trying to entertain, and they're trying to drive ratings and stuff like that. And that's, I get it. That's part of the entertainment business. And so I didn't take too much of it to heart. There were times with certain guys that I thought they got personal at times, and that was what bothered me. That would bother me. But when it came down to criticism, stuff like that, that's sort of part of the job here in Philadelphia.
No question. I mean,
I knew that coming in.
It goes with the territory. You need to be able to take critique, and you need to be able to take criticism. But when it goes overboard, I think it probably is hurtful to some. And I've talked to guys who get upset by it. But and I've told you this before, you amaze me with how thick your skin is. Maybe it's because you were born here and it's in your DNA and you know how to take it. But you have incredible thick skin. You don't hold grudges. It's a good quality.
Very, very few grudges do I hold, and because I know things happen in a time and a space, right? Things happen, and I get it. I mean, this is sports. This is the life. This is what it's all about. I mean, there's ups and downs. I've said this many times, man. I talked to my kids about it. Like I knew I was going to be a hero for a while, but at some point, we were going to drop off the table and life was going to change. So but that's part of the gig. I wish I had sustained it better. I made, a little better decisions, maybe a little earlier, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of things that you sort of regret, but I was really proud of the work that we did, man. We did a lot of great stuff for this city for a long time, and I was part of a really great era of Phillies baseball, and I'm very proud of that too.
And you should be proud. It was a great era, and we're kind of getting that vibe again.
Yes,
in the stadium. But this little anecdote about calling the radio station late at night as Tony from South Philly. It made me laugh because there's nothing better. I mean, it's a long season for you guys in the front office, players, but also in the press box. Some of these seasons can get long and a grind. And we loved press box antics and press box hijinks. And we had some good ones over the years. It made me think of a time. Todd, do you remember this? Once we were in Denver, and I'm sitting up there in the press box, typing away in the 5th inning, and I look up and my picture's on the scoreboard.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes. It was you. I took a picture of you on the field, and I just said, "Wave, Jim." So Jim's in the dugout. He's a very kind of goofy smile. Yeah, before the game, he waves and smiles. And a lot of these ballparks now they say, tweet at Rockies hashtag Rockies fan or whatever, and we'll put on the jumbotron. And so I have Jimmy's got this silly smile on his face. He's like waving like hello. And next thing you know, it's on the scoreboard. Jim, that was not the only time we did that. We did that at the Padres. I took a photo of you and Matt Gelb in the press box. And I did the hashtag Friar fan or whatever it was, right? And the best part is that Adam Hazley is making his major league debut, and he's stepping in the batter's box for the first time in his life. And on the scoreboard is Jim and Matt Gelb. They had Adam Hazley's photo, making major league debut, and right in the lower right hand corner or whatever it was Jim and Matt Gelb's photo underneath.
Did you take a picture of that? You have to have a picture.
I do have a picture. I have a picture of
that.
Both.
Is hilarious.
Jim, here's another one. How about the time in Arizona before the game? This was the best. Is they had a hashtag Go D-backs, but it sounded like when you look at it, it says Godbacks, right? So we started sending all these tweets saying Godbacks, 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 and next thing you know, apparently the social media person, whoever ran the scoreboard, was getting absolutely obliterated by Phillies fans using the hashtag Godbacks or Go D-backs. And at one point they put a photo of Jim's tweet up there and it said why is Godbacks trending in Philly? And somebody wrote Jim Salisbury tweeted it or whatever. So it became this whole thing. The guy from their Fanavision or whatever their counter, whatever their version is, came in and told us you guys just ruined my day. You guys just ruined my day. I can't get anything up on the scoreboard because our servers is getting overloaded with Godbacks, Go D-backs.
There are endless. Now I'm sort of on the side, but and I've been in the dugout with you guys as an executive, and there are times I have to say this. I mean, I know that my job when I was a GM was to deliver the news and stuff like that, and I always respected you guys. I did. So there were times when I would get pissed off,
sure,
because we were not doing well and we were being questioned about our jobs and what we were doing and decisions we were making, things like that. But I always respected the job that you guys did, and I always felt like, having learned from Pat Gillick and Ed Wade, that you guys had a job to do too, and it's not an easy job to do. And now I'm on this side, think about asking questions that are critical questions about the game. Why would you do this? And how come you did that? And what was the thought process here and there? And it does, I know from the asker's point of view, and the interviewer's point of view, those are not easy questions to ask because you generally like the guys that you're asking these questions to, and you're sort of questioning their ability to do their jobs. And so it sort of wears on you guys too. And so I get that. I mean, I get that more now, but I also understood it pretty well when I was a GM.
And that's probably why, it's like having a guy in the clubhouse who keeps the mood light. Sometimes we have little press box hijinks, and they can be hilarious. And I'm reminded of one of my all-time favorites. We were talking about Matt Gelb. And when he was younger and before he started going bald, he used to have this little tuft of hair. And he had these little ears. And he looked like a koala. So we started calling him the koala. And it stuck. We still call him the koala. And so one time, it's probably 7, 8, 10 years ago in spring training, in Disney, over at Disney, the Braves were still in Disney. And I have to frame this story by Todd is a very funny guy. He does great impersonations. JFK. I love his one of Old Time Newsman when he does the Old Time newsreel.
We'll have to have him do. We'll have to have him do those.
Yeah, we're gonna have him do those sometime. Yeah. But he also does a great Australian accent. So rain delay in the radio broadcast. Scott Fransky is killing time during a rain delay on the radio, and he's going to take some callers, some questions, some calls from fans back home. And Matt Gelb is being interviewed with him in the booth. So it's the two of them in the booth during a rain delay in spring training. And now they start to take phone calls from fans. And I will leave the rest to Todd.
Yeah. So, Ruben, those rain delay calls are just brutal. Spring training, right? I mean, what are you going to talk about? It's a Wednesday night. Rough. Nobody's listening. So I'm literally in the next room over in the press box, and I decide to give them a call.
Let's go to Todd. Is it Todd? You're next up.
Hello there. Calling from Sydney, Australia. Want to know why they call Matt Gelb the koala, mate? I'll listen to their call. Thanks.
Can we trace that call?
Yes, I think we should, absolutely.
That's really good, man.
Yeah, it was funny because
funny.
I was so I don't know who recommended I make the call, but I said I'm going to call and do an Australian accent. And I tell you what, I was sweating bullets before they picked up the phone. I was like, "Don't mess up this accent. You got to nail it. You got to nail it.
That's right.
You got to nail it." But it just made us laugh because we're all sitting there. Nobody wants to be at this game. It's 8:30, 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night. The Phillies are probably playing a day game the next day in Clearwater. The game is meaningless. It's a rain delay. You're going, why am I here? So we killed some time by having some fun.
I love that he said we got to trace this phone call. Trace it 8 feet away.
That's great stuff.
Oh my gosh, it's funny. Yeah, it was funny. So let's get into this series against the Dodgers. The Phillies go in. They have a 3.5 game lead over the Dodgers for the best record in the National League. It's kind of built up as two NL powerhouses, and the Phillies just sweep them out of the ballpark. And last night, even Dave Roberts said they're clearly a better team than we are right now. We really didn't do much well this series. Situational hitting, getting hits, all that kind of stuff. We were outplayed. It's certainly, I know where we are right now. I mean, pretty convincing series victory. Is it too? Can you make anything out of it? Is it too early? I know the Dodgers are also banged up, but seem to send a statement of sorts.
It gives them that advantage for the best record, which is important for home field.
Right.
But for me, the only thing I make out of it is that, which is a nice advantage. This team for me is still going to be defined in the month of October. It's built to go to October. It needs to go to October. It should go to October and go deep. That's what's going to define this team. That said, we talk about it all the time. You can only play the games that are on your schedule that night, and they did a great job. They looked really good. The Dodgers looked sloppy. They got banged up. I mean, they had a bullpen game last night because they lost another pitcher in Glasnow. But I also think the Dodgers have the same mindset. Their season's going to be defined in October. They're going to get there. They'll be a different looking team in the month of October, but certainly a hell of a series. I mean, I was looking, some of the Phillies hit 320 with a 986 OPS and 7 home runs, and they averaged over 6 runs per game. And the Phillies pitching staff had a 1.63 ERA and only allowed 5 runs. Dodgers sloppy, Phillies dominant. Fans are great. I mean, I thought the Phillies fed off the fans like an extra man. It was an incredible series. Great showing. Certainly something to build on the way to the time that's really going to define this team.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know they were shorthanded. They didn't have Mookie Betts. They didn't have Muncy. Their starting rotation, no Yamamoto, no Glasnow. They didn't have Kershaw, Buehler, those guys. Those are that's a lot of firepower, and it's going to be a different team in a couple of months. Mm-hmm. That said, the Phillies also missing some guys, JT, and Harper's just coming back. Schwarber's just coming back and getting his feet, underneath him again after being out for a little while. Obviously Turner's playing unbelievably well. And they don't really have a fifth starter right now. So you have to be impressed. I'm so impressed by the pitching. I have to tell you, this Cristopher Sánchez kid, for him to bounce back after having his worst outing, had his best outing, then had his worst outing, and sort of I don't necessarily like to utilize that excuse, but he did get up and down 9 times and then have to come back another 5 days later and pitch again. And it was obvious that he was kind of off kilter in Chicago. And for him to sort of bounce back and to pitch the way he did against the Dodgers, that front, you can talk about the lineup, but that first 4 or 5 guys, they can hit now. They can hit. You got some great hitters. And for him to bounce back and to pitch the way he did under those circumstances, big crowd, the whole 9 yards, just another level of his growth. It was fantastic. Obviously, Wheeler setting the tone, Nola finishing it off, Nola stepping up in the biggest part of the game and making his best pitches against the best hitter.
Yeah.
He struck out in the second inning, the bases juiced. He struck out the guy who is arguably the best hitter in baseball right now, or most dangerous. And he did it with his hardest fastball and his best breaking stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I love Aaron Nola. He's been doing it for years. He's done it since I've watched him in the LSU. And that's who he is, man. And I used to, I've even tweeted this out or X'd it out or whatever it is about, he can't pitch in the big game. Really? Like Aaron Nola, it's not about whether he can pitch in the big game or not. Sometimes he's just not effective and he throws too many strikes or leaves the ball out in the middle of the plate. And that's the reason why people hit home runs off of him. But it's not about whether he can pitch in a big game or not, because he certainly can do that.
How about the job, Ruben? You talked about that at bat, Nola, Ohtani in the second inning. Just in general, their performance against Ohtani this series. Ohtani was 3 for 10, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. All 3 hits were singles.
Really good plan.
They really kept them in check.
Really good plan against him. And, you got to give, Brian Kaplan, who's the director of pitching development and assistant pitching coach, and Caleb Cotham and the whole staff, the plan of attack on the guy and the execution, right? You have to be able to execute. It looked like they were going to try to rush him up and in and get him. There seems to be a space up and then you let the ball get out over the plate, man. You get extension, man. It's a little bit like Barry Bonds when he was younger, before he closed up that hole, that if you can get in on him a little bit and maybe have him miss hit a few balls, and they were dropping some hammers on him, especially Aaron Nola. Some of those curveballs he was throwing were just filthy.
10 swing and misses on that pitch.
Just filthy. And when he gets this action as opposed to the side to side, there are times when he gets underneath the pitch and it doesn't have the same depth. But when it has depth, and when you're left-handed or right-handed, it doesn't matter, man. Your eyes just can't adjust. I couldn't hit that pitch.
And you talk about
that's a tough pitch to hit, man.
You talk about the eyes of a hitter. He had a little extra on his fastball last night. He had a little, like a mile per hour average, but he had a little bit extra. And now you do that, right?
Because it puts in your mind, it's not the 92, it's a 95. And now you got to get ready for the 95. And then you throw that pitch in the same spot, basically, and the ball breaks off the table. It's hard to distinguish because he tunnels so well.
That 0-2 fastball he threw inside to Ohtani in the second inning was 95.5 miles an hour. That was tied for his hardest pitch of the year. I asked him after the game, what were you trying to go inside there? Because it was inside. It was inside. He's like, I was trying to go on the corner, but if I was going to miss, I wanted to miss inside. Because he's like you said, Ruben, you don't want to get him extended. You don't want to miss on the plate and have him just hit a grand slam. So he had a little extra juice on that 0-2 fastball, and then he broke off the breaking ball.
But that tells you a lot about like Aaron Nola, not afraid to get in there. Okay.
Yeah.
There's nobody like Wheeler's not afraid to get in there. Those guys are not afraid to get in there. They're not afraid to pitch. They pitch aggressively with confidence. And, that's the difference between this staff and every other staff, I think. I mean, you could probably talk about the Seattle Mariners, and I haven't watched them enough to really break them down. But I know that these guys pitch, and they pitch with confidence. And I think there's a whole set of dominoes that are associated with this. They believe that if they make a mistake and somebody gets them, that their offense can come back and pick them up, or their defense will make a play, or so. There's a confidence there. So there's a lot of things, a lot of factors here in all this. And I think it all plays into one thing, and that's to win baseball games. And I think that's what's translating.
That's a great point. Like they believe somebody will pick them up. So if I execute a pitch down in the zone, instead of trying to blow somebody away up here, I'm going to execute this pitch down in the zone because I have faith those guys behind me are going to pick it up and throw it to first base.
Ohtani lost his helmet on a lot of swings. It seemed like he was taking some really awkward hacks at some pitches, throughout the series.
They had a great plan against them.
Yeah, they really did. Trea Turner continues to swing a hot bat. Johan Rojas runs down this ball in left center field last night. He covered 100 feet to run down that fly ball. He was feeling it last night. He had some good quotes talking about, he was, if the ball's in there, the only way I'm not catching it, if the ball's hit out of the ballpark, that's the only way I'm not catching the baseball. And, then he said, we don't care who's coming. We don't care who we're playing. We're just going to beat them. So he was feeling good about his performance last night, but it's cool. Get some honesty.
Own it.
Yeah, exactly.
Own it. Yeah, he believes in his defense. There's no question about that.
I wanted to ask you about Trea Turner. I mean, he's on this home run binge, and I love his swing because, correct me if I'm wrong, but it just looks like he's staying on plane. He's level through the zone. He's not launching through the zone. He's level through the zone. He finishes high, but that backspin, I mean, it's classic power hitter backspin. It's like Killebrew and those guys used to have, except he's not that body type. But the way he can not launch, not drop his backside, but come through the zone level, spin it, finish high, and that ball just never stops. It carries 10 rows deep. Really, it's kind of beautiful to watch.
It really is. And I mean, we can talk about like the whole art of hitting and how things have changed. There's a belief that since the ball is coming at this angle, that you should work underneath the baseball with your barrel and try to launch the ball into the air. That's been like the physics of why you're getting this big launch angle push for years, for 10, 12 years, whatever it's been. It also creates so little margin for error that you have to hit it at the perfect spot to actually get it. Now, the guys who can really hit and hit for average and have more consistency, they have a flatter plane to the ball because they expose their barrel in the hitting zone longer. That's physics too. And it gives himself a chance to barrel the baseball up and also to backspin the ball. And it's a matter of just hitting the bottom part of the ball, right? Hitting the bottom part of the ball to create the backspin. And the flatness of his swing, and it's one of the reasons why I think he's one of those guys that really doesn't need a rehab, is because he works on his swing so consistently, whether it's tee work, whether it's off a project, image pitching machine, whatever the case may be, they work on those things, and it's so consistent. And it's so different also from the beginning of the season last year, where he was underneath the baseball. He was not nearly as flat. He was also swinging a lot of pitches out of the zone then, because I think he was just trying to be a little too aggressive. But his flatness through the zone, Jimmy, you make a great point, is what creates his ability to make consistent hard contact and to create the backspin that is necessary to drive the ball out of the ballpark. He's not a big man, but he can really whip the bat through the zone because he's got great hands. I mean, you just watch him, got great hands, and he can really create bat speed with his hands, with the ability of keeping the ball, his barrel on plane longer to make more consistent content.
And
Hence
hit
the power, and the average.
If Trea Turner stays healthy the rest of the way and he plays almost every day, he's going to finish with enough plate appearances to qualify for batting title. He could be the first Phillies player to win a batting title since Richie Ashburn, 1958. Right now, Christian Yelich leads the National League in batting average 329. Trea is batting 348. So if he keeps on this pace, even if he doesn't keep at this exact pace, he's got a good chance of winning a batting title. And this might sound blasphemous, but he also might be. He's not going to have the overall numbers because he missed 6-7 weeks or whatever it was with the hamstring injury. But it might be you can make an argument for, is this the best season by a Phillies shortstop ever? And Jimmy Rollins won the MVP in 2007. Jimmy is going to have about 200 more plate appearances by the end of the season, so he's going to have more doubles, triples, home runs. But you look at Trea Turner's batting average, 348, on base percentage, 393, slugging percentage, 529, OPS, 922. Jamie Rollins had an 875 OPS in 2007. Again, that might be blasphemous to say, but I don't know. He's in the conversation right now. He's really having an historically amazing season for Philly shortstop, however you want to look at it.
No question. A big second half, he's going to finish in the top 10 of the MVP, even with the missed time, I think. You're going to have him and Harper both making strong showings in the MVP if they continue doing what they're doing. Yeah,
I think the big separator with Jimmy and Turner, obviously, is the durability, but also the defense. Yeah. I mean, Jimmy was the best shortstop in the game for a long, long, long time defensively, and he did not get enough love for that because there was other guys who were pretty good too. But I mean, he should have won about 50 Gold Gloves, I thought.
He only won 4,
and he only won 4, which is one of the reasons he may stay out of the Hall of Fame, because the guy should have won about 8 of them.
Yeah,
he was the best shortstop in the National League for me for the longest time. And I will only say this. It's so fun to watch this guy play. It does bring back shades of Jimmy Rollins because of his smoothness, the way he runs. I mean, Jimmy obviously is smaller in stature, wasn't as gliding, but they both were just smooth players. He slides smoothly. It's just a gorgeous thing to do. His bat path is smooth. There's so much smoothness to what he does that it sort of gives you the vibe. Who was it that called J. Rolls J Smooth? I think it was LA used to call him J Smooth. And it's just really cool. It's the reason why he signed a big ass contract, because he's a really super dynamic player. He's been that way for a while.
Ruben, you're so right about Jimmy's defense. There were years he made like 6 errors and a lot of chance. The thing I loved about Jimmy's defense, when he threw the ball, he had the same. He wasn't way back here. He threw right from here, almost kind of short-armed it. Same release point every time. Hit Ryan Howard right in the chest every time.
He had the most accurate arm of a shortstop that I think I've ever seen. Now, Sean Dunston, strongest arm. He'd throw right back and fire. But Jimmy Rollins, Larry Bowa was super accurate too, man. Like Larry Bowa was one of those guys, kind of a low 3/4, and he'd fade the ball only when he only fired it when he had to. A little bit like my dad when he played. My dad didn't use his arm unless he needed to. But the consistency of the throw was something to marvel at, whether he was doing the spin move behind second base and making the throw, backhanding the ball, making the throw, coming in, routine. Dallas Green talked about the 2-out shortstops all the time. And dude, if you hit the ball to the left side of the infield and Jimmy Rollins caught it, you're out. O-U-T every time.
Well, Jimmy should be a Hall of Famer. We'll see if he gets there. We can dig into that at some point down the road. Phillies A's this weekend before the All-Star break. You got Ranger Suarez Friday night versus Hogan Harris. He's 1-3, 3.22 ERA. Saturday, it's Tyler Phillips, South Jersey kid, Bishop Eustace kid, making his first big league start at home at Citizens Bank Park. I mean, that's going to be You're going to have a large Phillips contingent at that game for sure. I know he's excited about that versus he's pitching against Mitch Spence. And then Sunday, it's Joey Estes versus TBD. Rob Thompson said that if they don't go heavy on the bullpen Friday, Saturday, they could just go heavy bullpen on Sunday because he doesn't want all of his relievers not pitching for 5-6 days. So it could be a bullpen game. And then I guess Friday, Saturday, if they do need to lean on their bullpen a lot, they could always make a roster move potentially to kind of fill the gap on Sunday. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's TBD for right now. So and then the All-Star break. So that will wrap it up for the Phillies. Real quick, if you're headed to the Phillies A's game this Saturday, be sure to check out Shibe Vintage Sports' 10th anniversary tailgate. Starting at 1 p.m. in the N lot, that's the N lot, they have a bus fill of Philadelphia A's memorabilia on display, along with a brand new tailgate ale beer brewed especially for the occasion. So come celebrate Shibe's 10 years of reviving Phillies sports history and create a little of your own. More info at shibesports.com. Guys, that was fun. Ruben, I appreciate the you almost feel like you got to break out the accent and send us off here. You're WIP. No, you don't have to do that.
It was great being with you guys. You know what I'm saying? You You guys have a good time. A good time here on the podcast.
Give us some Australia. Give us some Australia, Tom.
All right, mate. Shrimp on the barbie. We're gonna get out there, go to the ball game tonight, mate. Enjoy ourselves. Phillies A City Series, former City Series game, mate. I gotta work on it. I'm a little rusty. All right, guys, I'll talk to you.
All right, smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
This is the Phillies Show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Phillies Show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel. If you like what we do, give us a review. Tell a friend. Catch Ruben, Jim, and me on Phillies Nation TV, presented by Valley Forge Tourism. New episodes air an hour before every Saturday Phillies game on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Replays air throughout the week and on PhilliesNation.com. Get more of Ruben's analysis during, before, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Read Jim at the All City Network at allphly.com. Find more of me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and occasionally on MLB Network.